Well, last week, Manitoba nurses voted to greylist the second biggest hospital in our province. That designation, greylisting, is a warning. It means the hospital is considered an unsafe workplace and members should think twice before accepting jobs there. The decision won the vote of a significant majority of the nurses who turned out, 94%. St. Boniface Hospital is now the third hospital in Manitoba to get the undesirable ranking. After members voted to greylist Northern Manitoba's biggest hospital, Thompson General Hospital, in December, and Winnipeg's Health Sciences Centre in August. I'm Marcy Marcusa, and this is Manitoba, where a growing number of healthcare workers are sounding the alarm that they don't feel safe when doing their jobs. Violence against doctors, nurses, and hospital staff is increasing. A Doctors Manitoba survey from 2024 found that 1/3 of physicians at HSC experienced 11 safety episodes on average. Now, that includes things like threats and violence, sexual assault, and harassment, at almost double the provincial rate. Doctors say they've been punched, kicked, verbally abused, and people have spit on them. And they're not alone. In 2024, a man threatened hospital staff and stabbed a security guard in the HSC emergency room while more than 40 other patients waited for treatment. That same year, RCMP were called to Thompson General Hospital 557 times, including one incident on Christmas Eve.
A man walked into the chapel with a rifle. He locked himself inside and started firing through the window.
The nurses were very shaken up because when they opened the door, the person was actually pointing the gun at them. Clearly, getting a long gun into a public health facility is worrying.
The Northern Regional Health Authority has implemented new safety measures. The hospital is now closed to visitors after 7 o'clock at night. But the Nurses Union president says that's not enough. This incident happened late afternoon, well before a lockdown would have been in place.
Last July, 5 people were sexually assaulted near Health Sciences Centre. 3 of them were employees. And then one Sunday night at the HSCER in October.
A source with first-hand knowledge says it was very busy at the time. That's when a patient receiving mental health care became violent. The union representing unit assistants says one of their members was grabbed at the base of their neck. A nurse was also assaulted. The source says both appeared to be choked. Shared Health only confirmed 2 staff members were assaulted in a statement to CBC News. They also say, while all appropriate safety protocols were followed, we recognize that any act of violence in the workplace is deeply concerning. We are relieved neither staff member sustained serious physical injuries, and we are ensuring both have access to the support and resources they may need as they recover from this distressing experience.
And then, less than a month later,
it was around 11 at night when a nurse was attacked in this parkade outside of St. Boniface Hospital. She was getting out of her car on November 8th when a man approached her and asked for the time. Police say this is when he trapped her between 2 cars and sexually assaulted her. Police say the woman screamed and the man ran away. Hospital security found him over 4 hours later. The 27-year-old man is charged with sexual assault.
With the slew of violent incidents, the province of Manitoba says that taking steps to address healthcare workers' concerns is happening. Police officers are stationed at HSCZR, for example, around the clock now, boosting the safety officers on staff by 14 for a total of 81 now that are on site. And they've added investment in weapon detection scanners that have been installed at some public entrances. Those scanners are powered by artificial intelligence.
So the sensors are looking for the characteristics of the items that are going through. The AI software is matching that to our known weapons. Items like this knife here, for example, right? Or this box cutter here is another example. We can discern those items, things that you don't want in a hospital. And we can let people who just have a cell phone or a watch or wallet walk on through.
We're listening to Peter Evans there talk about AI. He's the CEO of Extract One Technologies. Now, that is the company that oversees the equipment, explaining the goal of these scanners. But how well are they actually doing their job? My colleagues over at Radio-Canada submitted a Freedom of Information and Privacy Act request to get a better idea. and some data. And some of the numbers are now in. So over an 8-month period in 2025, 1,546 weapons, including things like knives, hatchets, and hammers, were detected. And 332 of those were discovered at Children's Hospital's emergency department.
Health Minister Uzoma Azuguara says the scanners are a proactive safety measure.
It shows us the importance of taking those measures here at Health Sciences Centre, that they're working. It also helps inform us in terms of what else we can do to keep people safe in our healthcare environments.
Azuguara says the scanners flag a broad range of potential weapons. Some of the 1,500 items seized were things like nail files and syringes. Thursday, the province and Shared Health introduced more safety measures for hospitals, one being the SAFE app for staff.
It will take you straight to security number, so you can activate security. You don't need to find a phone in the facility or an intercom at a panic alarm to be able to access security to notify them of any concern that you have.
The province also hired more institutional safety officers. Last year, HSC was greylisted by the Nurses Union, discouraging workers from taking jobs there because of safety concerns. Union President Darlene Jackson says these new measures are a step in the right direction, but most of them were implemented after incidents.
It's not like government or the employers said, hey, we need to keep our staff safer, let's do this. Everything that's been done is reactive to either an incredibly significant incident that has garnered public attention, an arbitrator has said you must do this, or greylisting.
Azuguara says there's still more work to do.
And to keep taking steps, building layer on layer on layer of safety and security to make sure that healthcare workers feel safe at the job and patients are safe when they're receiving care.
Jackson says the union has made a lot of recommendations to improve safety, and it wants to see a firm commitment to those changes before the greylisting at HSC is lifted.
To be clear here, the province did not tell us how many of those more than 1,500 weapons were items like tools or nail files. But I sat down with Manitoba Nurses Union President Darlene Jackson to hear more about the recommendations. I started by asking her reaction to the number of weapons detected at HSC.
I'm not surprised, Marcy. Nurses in the ERs in this city have been telling me for a very long time that weapons are coming in. They're confiscating weapons prior to the AI scanners on a regular basis. It's actually frightening to see some of those weapons that have come in, and that staff and other individuals are at risk with someone carrying those weapons. So I'm not surprised that those have been confiscated.
Tell me a little bit about what you understand about this in terms of what types of weapons that nurses have been telling you they're seeing in Manitoba hospitals over the years.
Well, they're seeing everything from guns to knives, etc., machetes, things like that. But they're also seeing a lot of almost homemade weapons where a screwdriver has been sharpened so it could be utilized to stab someone. Lots and lots of knives and other weapons.
I want to ask about the statistic that came out about the Children's Emergency Department. The report saying 332 of the weapons detected there. What are your thoughts on that specifically?
Well, I think it's fairly frightening that those type of weapons are coming into a children's emergency department. That is frightening. Although I have heard from nurses in the ER department that there is definitely an increase in weapons and an increase in violence towards staff in that facility. So that alone is not surprising. However, it is it's worrying that those things are coming into a children's hospital.
Are you aware of specifically what type of weapons were found? As we mentioned, we have had some information from the province, obviously, through our FIPA report, but we weren't told specifics about the types or how many might have been, as I mentioned, things like tools or nail files.
No, I was not made aware of that, but I can imagine that, the trend is a lot of knives are coming in. There are guns coming in. I know that, nurses at the facility and at HSC Adult Emergency have told me that people are coming in with machetes down the leg of their pants, and they're only been discovered when, the patient has to be undressed for treatment or et cetera. If they come in unconscious, they'll often find something down the leg of their pants or in their waistband.
So what happens when a weapon is found in a hospital? Is it seized? What is happening?
Well, I think what happens is now there's amnesty lockers at Health Sciences Center, and also St. B has just installed them. So that gives individuals an opportunity to put their weapons in an amnesty locker and retrieve them when they leave the facility. However, if they choose not to do that, then when they go through the AI scanner, I believe those weapons are seized.
What are your thoughts on the AI technology overall? Is it something that would help hospitals, for example, get off the gray list to make staff feel safer? Where you felt the need to gray list hospitals due to a threat of violence?
I certainly think AI scanners would be helpful with that, but there are a myriad of safety issues that hospitals need to address in order to lift gray listing. So, we're in the process with Health Sciences Center right now of trying to hammer out some details on um, having a memo of understanding or a letter of understanding that I understand you can't do everything right now, but nurses are worried that promises will be made that won't be fulfilled, or that we will see once the gray listing is lifted, we'll start to see things been taken away, like AI scanners been moved out, ISO has been moved out, the police at HSC emergency been taken away. So what we're looking for is a guarantee in written that those things are going to remain for the long term, and that any promises that are made must have a date on them. We need to know a timeline of when they're going to be done.
And just last, what are you looking for over at St. Boniface?
Well, I think we're looking at very similar things at St. Boniface as we are at Thompson and HSC when it comes to safety. We're looking for AI scanners. We're looking for ISOs. We're looking for a lockdown of entrances, some surveillance in their tunnel, etc. But St. Boniface, we've also pulled in, because of talking to nurses, we've also pulled in a lot of patient safety issues, and nurse-patient ratios have been pulled into St. Boniface because speaking to nurses in the ER, it's impossible to ensure patient safety when you're dealing with 70 or 80 individuals in your department, up to 115 on days when your apartment only holds 61 patients.
Well, a concerning podcast for sure, but more to be shared in the months ahead as we watch what will happen next. That is it for this week's episode. I'm Marcy Marcusa. This is Manitoba, and next week we'll be back with another new podcast for you.